Frightening, intense, intelligent, and funny. These are some of the words that critics and fans have used to describe the phenomenon known as the X-Files. Good evening. I'm Martin Landau, and I'm glad you could join me. Tonight, we'll take a look at how the X-Files has grown from a cult favorite to a hit TV show, and now a motion picture event.
In the next hour, go behind the scenes of this summer's hottest movie.
Action!
Get on set with stars David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson.
We were chased by helicopters at an altitude that was a little too low for my liking.
Meet creator Chris Carter and the other filmmakers responsible for bringing the X-Files to the big screen.
It was a big thrill, big reward for everyone.
Hear from some famous fans of the show.
It appeals to a part of us as human beings.
Plus, get the scoop on the soundtrack, including a special music performance by Sting and Oswald.
Scully?
Yeah?
Run!
The truth is revealed on the X-Files movie special.
So what exactly are the X-Files? Created in 1993 by a former surfing magazine writer named Chris Carter, the television series follows the exploits of two FBI agents, Fox Mulder and Dana Scully, as they investigate the Bureau's unsolved cases. Cases for which the only solution involves a paranormal explanation.
I'd read a lot of reports of the supernatural and of alien abduction and UFO sightings, and I just imagined that there must be some branch of government, law enforcement, who deals with these things.
I'm Fox Mulder. This is Dana Scully. We're with the FBI. We'd like to ask you a few questions.
The premise of the X-Files is two FBI agents exploring the paranormal from two different biases. One, a skeptic, one, a believer.
The reason you're here, Agent Scully, is we want you to assist Mulder on these X-Files. You will write field reports on your activities, making your reports exclusively to this group.
Am I to understand that you want me to debunk the X-Files project, sir?
Agent Scully, we trust you'll make the proper scientific analysis.
The X-Files is born of and has always been driven by Mulder's sense of wonder and his belief in the unbelievable.
Mulder, for the last 10 or 15 years, has believed that his sister was abducted by aliens when he was 12 and she was 8. He's kind of a very odd guy who's made a really odd choice with his life, which was, you know, in most people's eyes, kind of a stupid endeavor, to devote all his energy to chasing UFOs.
So who did you take off to get stuck with this detail, Scully?
Actually, I'm looking forward to working with you. I've heard a lot about you.
Oh, really? I was under the impression that you were sent to spy on me.
The banter between Mulder and Scully is usually built around Mulder's taking them on a wild goose chase while Scully is looking for some proof or science to back it up.
Mulder, look out!
The evolution has just been the experiences.
The more time that they spend together, the more care they have for each other.
I believe that what we're looking for is in the X-Files. I'm more certain than ever that the truth is in there.
June 1997. 4 years after the start of the series, filming began on the X-Files movie. To ensure the story remained a surprise, a certain amount of secrecy was necessary.
Can I set up the plot for the movie? I suppose, if I don't want to live any longer.
I guess that's hard to do without giving away the plot.
I don't know, I just feel a little uneasy about saying anything.
I have no idea how much is too much, because you tell me you're my friend, but...
That would spoil it for you. You know, we'll go and see it. I'll go with you.
You know, that really might be a better question for Chris Carter.
to keep the 5th season of the show interesting and mysterious and a surprise, you had to protect what was the conclusion of all those episodes. So we had a problem that most people don't have. When you have a movie, everyone tries to protect the secrecy. We had to do it for not just a movie, but for about 20 episodes of a television series. There is an active movement on the internet, people who call themselves spoilers, who would like nothing better than to find the story first and spread it. So there were certain precautions taken. The script was printed on red paper, so it couldn't be Xeroxed. There was disinformation leaked all year long, and there was an ending that wasn't written until actually just a few weeks ago. I think there are a lot of people out there who don't want it spoiled for them, so I'm trying to protect those people who would like to go to this movie and see it as a surprise.
So what does the actual story of the X-Files movie involve? Well, now that we're only days away from the opening, we can finally reveal a quick sneak preview.
At the end of 5 years, it would be a great time to do something that would celebrate and reward the hardcore viewers who had been watching the show since the beginning. The trick was to do a movie that wasn't just for X-Files fans, but appealed to the casual viewer or the non-watcher of X-Files.
You could walk into this film having never heard of the X-Files or never seen one and enjoy it, definitely. I mean, there's no special knowledge that you have to know. There's no secret password.
We were determined that this movie would make sense and be entertaining to people who had never seen the X-Files before. And that was sort of the litmus test for every scene, every idea that we put in that movie, that it had to make sense coming to it fresh. But at the same time, we wanted to reward the fans who felt like they'd be expecting and deserved to see some answers to some of the mysteries that have been raised in the series over the last 5 years.
We've proven and disproven theories and conspiracies and guilty parties so many times that eventually we have got to show, you know, who's up to what and why they're doing it.
Trust no one, Mr. Mulder.
The movie begins with Mulder having a hunch.
Mulder, when a terrorist bomb threat is called in, the rational purpose of providing that information is to allow us to find the bomb.
Scully and Mulder are potentially going to be blamed for the death of some people in the bombing.
It begins with, why do we have these dead bodies and what killed them?
I can't tell you what killed this man. I'm not sure anybody else could claim to either.
It goes into what has been going on for the past 45, 50 years.
It's a global conspiracy with key players and the highest levels of power. It reaches into the lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet.
And you have conclusive evidence of this?
Yes.
The secrets are information that is about a government cover-up.
The truth is something you'd never guess.
You can't quit now. I need you on this.
I'm already way past the point of common sense here.
They are on the biggest case of all time, up against obstacles they've never been up against before.
Mulder! There's no time!
So much for little green man.
Coming up, we'll look at the X-Files phenomenon through the eyes of some famous fans.
And how do I fit into the X-Files? I'd like to reveal, but if I did, well, you know. I can, however, offer this exclusive clip as a clue. By the way, I'm the handsome one.
See this crap? Somebody knows I'm talking to you.
Not according to the men in blue.
Oh, what is it this time? Kiddie porn again? Sexual battery of a patient?
They want to discredit you for what?
Because I'm a dangerous man, because I know too much about the truth.
Now that end-of-the-world apocalyptic garbage, you right?
You know my work? I was right about Dallas, wasn't I?
How are you right?
Are you familiar with the hantavirus, Agent Mulder?
Yeah, it was a deadly virus spread by field mice in the southwestern United States several years ago.
According to the newspaper, FEMA was called out to manage an outbreak of the hantavirus. Are you familiar with what the Federal Emergency Management Agency's real power is? FEMA allows the White House to suspend constitutional government upon declaration of a national emergency. Think about that. What is an agency with such broad sweeping power doing managing a small viral outbreak in suburban Texas?
You're saying it wasn't such a small outbreak?
No. I'm saying it wasn't the hantavirus.
Since its debut 5 years ago, The X-Files has risen steadily from a cult favorite to a top 10 hit, drawing 30 million viewers. We asked the show's diehard fans, many of whom you may recognize, to explain why the show has captured their imaginations.
Agents Mulder and Scully, FBI.
My son got married last week, and on his wedding night, he invited everybody up to watch the last episode of the season of The X-Files. We're all sitting around his hotel room, craning over each other's shoulders to see what's going on.
The stories are really written well. The stories are really believable.
The truth I've been searching for, the truth is in you.
Everybody was talking about it, and so I said, I might as well watch it, see a thing that's this hot, and then I understood why people loved it so much.
Before we started touring so much, I was so loyal. It was the first time in my life that I'd ever been so devoted to a television show.
When we're on the road, I have somebody send me out the last week's episode because I really have to keep up with it, you know.
It became sort of a cult thing within my circle of friends, so it was a water cooler show for us.
The production value is like a movie, and it's every week. It's like seeing a different movie.
It kind of goes back to the core of the show, why it's believable and people don't get tired of it. It's because they don't just cave into convention.
I like the whole controversy, government is really trying to screw the people all the time kind of thing, because, you know, I feel that way anyway.
I need to know what happened.
It was staged.
To
test a classified military project or to cover it up.
Don't wrap it up in a neat package for me, and I'll follow you around, you know, the rest of the world.
We have a new alliance to be made.
Side with the resistance. Sure is. They'll squash us as they do them. We must turn the rebel over.
But first, wait till we know the vaccine works.
I loved it from the first thing that I saw, and I got in touch with Chris Carter, and I had come up with an idea for a story about a little girl and her spooky doll.
My favorite episode is a vacuum cleaner salesman, a door-to-door guy that claims to have kidnapped Fox's sister when they were both young.
What do you know about my sister?
You bring me my hearts, and maybe I'll tell you more.
I dig cigarette smoking guy.
You like that guy?
Yeah.
He's the deep throat. He's the Woodward and Bernstein. That's what we call him.
What would you like me to do? Shoot him dead? Splatter his brains?
Just keeps killing everybody, every world leader, and then he ends up killing aliens, and then he ends up trying to write a book about it, and it ends up as some tabloid, and his whole life is crushed.
This isn't the ending that I wrote. It's all wrong.
Scully, look at this.
Chris had actually asked me to do it, and I didn't do it. But after I saw the episode, I wished I had. But I thought it was great.
It appeals to a part of us as human beings, you know, whatever country is watching it.
¿En qué trabajas?
He encontrado esto en el correo de mi ordenador. 3 necrológicas.
ほら見ろよ。意外な助っ人だ。
Je crois que tu n'as pas eu le temps de digérer tes épreuves récentes.
Tout va bien.
Wir wissen also nicht, dass er mal beim FBI war und behauptet, von Außerirdischen entführt worden zu sein.
I knew it was a cult in California, for instance, and indeed Canada. But finding it was a cult in England I was somewhat surprised.
The doorman in Milan wants my autograph. You know, you go, oh my God, you know.
FBI. FBI.
None of my friends had heard of it when I came on, and by the end of the second year, most of my friends had heard of it. And they started doing fan conventions, and that's when I started to get a sense of what this was like.
Having done conventions and having gone to, to Europe and done publicity, it's pretty amazing, very gratifying, sometimes a little overwhelming.
All of a
sudden we had less time. There was more press to do, more interviews, more magazine work, more covers, more interest, more everything.
I was standing in an elevator, and somebody else got on the elevator, and she just kind of looked over, and she went, "Oh my God, you look like that scary guy in the X-Files." And then when I said I was the scary guy in the X-Files, then she was delighted.
My agent phones me up and says, they want you back in the X-Files as the same guys. So, all right, I don't have to audition. And then she said, apparently you're popular on the internet.
We all couldn't have asked for a better reception than what we have received.
I think one of the things that we've avoided is actually trying to satisfy what people say they want. Instead, we've been doing what we want to do, and the byproduct has been that they've been satisfied.
It's amazing. To this day, Chris Carter says it still feels like a dream.
Aliens and government cover-ups, the unknown and the unknowable. What are the basic human fears and curiosities that audiences relate to in the X-Files?
You can deny all the things I've seen, all the things I've discovered, but not for much longer, because too many others know what's happening out there.
The idea of a conspiracy, which goes back to the Boston Tea Party, in a sense, is ingrained in the public psyche.
The biggest lie of all.
History has proven recently and not so recently that the government does hold secrets from the public.
I don't think that we should ever believe that we're being told the truth until it comes to us from some source other than, like, a government source.
We do distrust the government to some extent. We see exposure in the media of lies and cover-up and corruption.
I think the truth is the world has become so complicated that no one can quite understand it all. It's too big to keep in your head.
I think it taps on people's deepest fears. Whether or not we're being treated fairly, or can we trust our local politicians? Can we trust the fact that the IRS is treating us properly? This is stuff that is alive and kicking in it.
So what you're saying, Agent Scully, is we're being cataloged, tagged, and inventoried? By who?
I don't know, but it would have to be a government agency.
We're talking about a dark network, a government within a government, controlling our every move.
Spread your legs. Where are the files?
Business and government and medicine, all are probably too powerful and too big for the average person to deal with. If you look at paranoid psychopathology, the history of it, it always finds what is the newest technological advance to be part of paranoia.
It looks like a computer chip.
With paranoia, there's also the belief that somewhere out there is a complete truth that can be understood. I mean, paranoia is basically the belief that everything is connected in some way.
I think that's why conspiracy theories are so fascinating to us, because they seem to offer the promise of insight, which is what everyone's hungry for. We want to understand what's going on around us.
It's not just about aliens, and it's not just about spaceships and UFOs. It plays to our sense of the supernatural, of the spiritual, of the unseeable world, and that appeals, I think, to everyone on some level.
What people want are clear answers. They want that magic key that I see. That's it. That's why all this is happening.
If you were to substitute God for our little phrase, the truth is out there, I think that it would fit real nicely.
A program like the X-Files does a great service, even though I know they say it's fiction. In fact, they may not even know how much it's based on fact.
Sort of the dark secret that covers up is that if that stuff were all true, it would actually be less scary than where we really are.
It's almost like there's a part of us that we're alienated from, that we don't know about. Like in psychotherapy, you go into these deep parts of yourself that you never knew existed.
Tonight, we have a new enemy.
So it's interesting that we see aliens out there, but a lot of the alien stuff is within us.
What we're really afraid of now is that we are becoming post-human. Earth is the alien planet, and we are the aliens.
It's about distrusting authority, fearing the unknown, but I also find it tinged with a sense of wonder and hope that once we have all the answers, we can all kind of survive as humans. That's, I think, an underlying humaneness to the X-Files that keeps it from being a totally dark, cynical show.
Coming up, go behind the scenes with stars David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson when the X-Files movie special continues.
Over the years, the makers of the series have fought a weekly battle to translate their dreams and nightmares onto the television screen. How have the producers of the X-Files taken the characters and conflicts to a much larger canvas?
I think because of the way the TV show is produced, there was always this idea that what we're doing is already big screen worthy.
Cut it. That's cut.
The scripts would come in and they'd be a little more ambitious than the last one. There'd be some new impossible set to build or something to achieve, and we kept pulling it off.
The underlying idea of the X-Files, that there is this global conspiracy involving extraterrestrial life, is so big and so profound that you really want this huge canvas to tell the story on. And the movie gave us that.
We only wanted to go to the big screen if we could somehow deliver something bigger and more dynamic than we could do on the little screen. And the movie allows you to tell bigger stories on a bigger canvas and to do some very exciting visual storytelling.
Spectacle is what I was looking for, and this provides scope. We wouldn't be able to go to some place like this in the television series and to do a sequence like we've got planned here. So it really is a matter of size and of panorama.
The movie is made up by many elements. One of those is Chris's script and the vision that Chris set forth 5 years ago.
Chris and the show have evolved and gotten much more sophisticated and much better as we've gone on.
Being the creator of the series and of these characters and of this film, he knows how he wants everything to feel, and the importance of every moment in the big scheme of things.
I wanted to exploit the visual tapestry that I thought that Chris and I were capable of. And he wrote this script knowing that I was going to direct it. He wrote it right to my strengths. When Scully gets this mark, when she first stops,
yes,
put her on frame left.
Okay,
Because that'll propose, yes.
Okay.
And then when she swings, you can make your shift. Make sense?
Yeah.
As an actor, you know, it's very easy for me to relate to Rob because I've been doing it for almost 4 years now. I mean, we have a shorthand. He understands the way I work, and I understand the way he works. Okay, in this scene, I want you to imagine you're going to lose very soon. All right, we're going to give you a moment.
Okay, you there?
I need a moment.
Okay, you there? Think of the POV.
Okay, let's go.
He knows exactly what a scene needs. He really knows how to work with actors, and he can get very specific about what needs to be shifted within a scene to help us get to where we need to be.
Jillian, when the front wheels hit, that's a good time to brace, because that's when it shakes the camera a lot. Looks good.
I can literally look at Jillian and the way I say her name, she'll say, got it, I know what you want. David will say, have you got it? And I said, you know, I need one more, and he'll know exactly why I need one more. That allowed us more takes. It allowed us to get a little bit more done every day, and allows, I thought, to explore the characters just a little bit further.
The first time I saw David and Gillian on a movie screen, they came on screen, and I was kind of startled. I had never seen them proportionally huge compared to what I'm used to seeing them. And there was a moment where I sort of had to shake myself, and then I looked at them and realized that they're going to, you know, be on the big screen, and they're going to be movie stars, and they've filled those bigger shoes, if you will, every bit as one might have hoped that they would.
This is weird, Mulder.
Very weird.
With a bigger screen comes a bigger experience. With this broader palette, the makers of the X-Files movie have the freedom to attempt more sophisticated action sequences and stunts, many of which stars David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson performed themselves.
Fans of the show will be familiar with the kind of obstacles that Mulder and Scully run into.
What is called upon us is more heightened than you usually find in a series.
It seems like it's been a really difficult physical shoot. There's been a lot of climbing and jumping and running and ducking.
There's a lot of lifting for David, There's a lot of falling for me.
And bruises and bangs and soreness and lack of sleep and all-nighters and the Mojave Desert and, freezing sound stages.
It's completely human unfriendly.
In the middle of June, you're in the soundstage, it's 29 degrees, you walk outside, it's 104 degrees. The crew is dropping like flies, they can't. They gotta be there every day.
When it's on the big screen, it's on a big screen. You have to go in fearless.
Cut!
God.
David, are you okay?
I got blood blisters all over my hands. See that?
I've never seen David or Jillian work harder, I can tell you that.
Action camera. Bring on the chopper. Chopper, 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 chopper.
We were chased by helicopters at an altitude that was a little too low for my liking, or at least my hair's liking.
Mulder and Scully are being chased by helicopters. They're running away from an area where they shouldn't have been. So they're in cornfields which are dark, and the helicopters have got searchlights trying to find them.
To create a believable action sequence, you have to tie the actors, the principals, into the action in some way. And if you use stunt doubles, you can't quite do that. And it brings the audience into the picture in a way that I've always felt is important on the X-Files. Luckily, I've got Dave and Jillian, who are both young and athletic, and also are game. They really like to get in and do this stuff.
You ready? Yeah. Come on. Come on. Let's go.
You need not act in a scene like that. It's loud and it's scary and it's windy and you're screaming, and that's all you have to do is actually just exist in that moment. So it takes care of like any other acting that you had to do. Basically, you're just trying to survive.
Where'd they go? What was exciting about it was the intensity of it, and knowing that there are 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras rolling at one time, getting different angles, different aspects of what's happening.
Coming up, a look at the special effects in the X-Files movie.
Dealing with the paranormal, the X-Files is often reliant upon visual effects to bring many of the writers' stories to life. For the movie, numerous effect sequences have been created to enhance the theater-going experience. One of the more complicated scenes features the blowing up of a 25-story building.
I need this building evacuated and cleared out in 10 minutes.
Actors, they shoot, a little bit, but bombs and explosions, they shoot for days.
The trick is to make sure you blow the heck out of everything you can, and that you photograph it and you get every ounce of value out of it.
We create an explosion as if our bad guy has put in several hundred pounds or 1,000 pounds of a high explosive in this building. What will happen is when we initiate it, these will all be covered in debris, desks or whatever. You can see some desks here that will be coming out the windows, etc. There'll be a gas ball coming out, fireball coming out, approximately 40 or 50 feet. And then there'll be a dust cloud that comes out and follows it out. And we do have a stunt car that'll come around the corner, and then when we hit the impact, we have the car rigged so it looks like they received the shockwave, and it'll actually raise up the back end of the car. It'll blow out the back window.
Because of the dangerous nature of the shot, stunt doubles for David and Jillian are used to coordinate the timing of the vehicle with the building explosion.
So when I see fire, I hit the button which gets our cannon shooting our car up in the air, and also detonates the charge and blows the windows.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting very close now, and I just want to clarify what we're doing. In talking with Paul, he said there may be some small bits of debris that could radiate out, so there could be some small elements coming out this direction. In case of an emergency, only our medical personnel will enter the set and extract any victims. If you're physically not working the shot or supporting this sequence, I need everybody on the other side of the bomb vehicle.
Stand by, ladies and gentlemen. That makes us ready. Ready, and we're rolling, rolling. Speed, action! That's a cut. Nobody move. Everybody safe and secure, please.
Fantastic. Use 14 cameras. on that explosion. Some were for visual effects, composite shots, and others were just various angles of the explosion.
Step one of the process is complete. Now, David and Gillian are integrated into the scene.
We're trying to create an interior shot of our heroes as the explosion occurs. So our test here is to create a fire cloud in the back as if it were the building blowing up so that it ties into our shot.
Fire test, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
You know, they're kind of like amusement park rides when you do scenes like that, because, you know, they've got the car up on hydraulics, and I always say let's shoot the first take, because, you know, they want you to get used to the movement, but I don't want to be used to the movement, because, you know, if God forbid you're ever around a bomb that explodes, you don't get to say that. You know, can you just explode in my face so I can get used to what it's like? So, you know, you want that kind of first experience.
There are cars that are rigged with flames. There is the car that we're in, which is rigged to bounce. There is all of this extracurricular activity that's going on.
After the full-scale and principal photography is complete, the process continues with a miniature and the aid of computer technology.
We've got a lot of miniature pieces that are designed to fall away from the camera and fall apart. And as they fall apart, debris comes behind them. You're going to get the impression that you're watching an entire building falling away, because we choose the camera angle so that you see the mayhem happening within the frame.
A lot of the things that we'll do further on in the process involves compositing of different elements. And we're going to take the miniature that we see here, bring it into the computer, and get rid of all the blue that you see surrounding the miniature, and combine it with research photography, and actually take this building out of Los Angeles and place it in Texas.
We're putting a lot of pieces together, and they're coming from 4 or 5 different directions, but we're combining them to make it look like they all happened at the same moment, and that it was a really spectacular explosion.
In a moment, go behind the music of the X-Files with a special musical performance by Sting and Oswald.
One of the signatures of the X-Files is its distinctive theme music. For the movie album, X-Files composer Mark Snow reworked the theme by teaming up with the Dust Brothers, the producing team known for their work with Beck and the Rolling Stones.
I sent the Dust Brothers the TV theme, each individual part of it, and they are doing their thing to it. They're so talented as producers and know so much about the technology and working with different artists that they could do something really wonderfully creative and hopefully of the moment.
While the rest of the world have been fighting crooks and commies, these men have been secretly negotiating a planned Armageddon.
It's hard when you have such a good piece of work to begin with. You want to create something that's just as good, if not better, and that's the real challenge.
It really has taken that funny little tune, which wasn't so hummable to begin with, and turned it into a little kind of, I don't know, little loungy sort of thing.
Okay, here we go. A little more. And 1, 2, 3. Let's really gas here, because there's going to be an 85-piece orchestra playing the film score. So this is the first time when that theme has sort of grown and become musical.
It was really interesting to see Mark finally, instead of sitting in his studio with his synthesizer, to be up in front of that 85-piece orchestra conducting them, and it just blew me away.
The movie does things that the TV show can't, in terms of scope and size and bigness.
Hold on, Mulder. I'm going to get you out of there.
What the music is doing is giving you the subtext or the emotional guide track through the movie.
Whatever you told them in there, Scully, you don't have to protect me.
All I told him was the truth.
They're trying to divide us on this, and we can't let them.
Mulder, they have divided us.
Chris Carter wanted a very minimal approach not much melody whatsoever, just ambient, atmospheric sound design, and he wanted a lot of it.
And so we talked about how the music would not be melodic and how it would be atmospheric and discordant and minor key stuff.
Some of what I call the cliche X-File electronic sounds mixed in with this big orchestra, it gives it this great sense of scope and grandeur and bigness that everyone is trying to achieve.
It does sound like a great big movie, and it's romantic, and it's exciting, and it's thrilling, and it's epic, and it's intimate, and we did it. Appreciate it.
Early in the film, Agent Mulder refers to a classic Three Dog Night song from the early 70s.
Looks like 86 is your lucky number.
You know, 1 is the loneliest number.
For the X-Files album, 1 has been reinterpreted by Filter. It is one of a number of songs on an album inspired by the X-Files and the characters of Mulder and Scully.
Three Dog Night was probably one of my original rock and roll experiences as a kid.
I think it was almost his initial idea to try and get Filter to do 1. And at first I thought, it ain't gonna happen. And I started singing it. And it just became really creepy and really different. And I figured, well, we could really pull it off. The concept of the video is very strange. It's kind of looking like an X-Files episode, but with a total twist.
The thing I think is most interesting is that no one did a real literal interpretation of the show, which is the nicest thing about it.
I'd like to have another kiss.
Chris Carter is a big fan of The Doors and a big fan of X, and the show is called The X-Files, and they're making a movie called The X-Files, and they're using a lot of rock and roll, so it was only natural for him to say, hey, let's get an X song in there.
They wanted to have a Doors song in the movie, so we were an obvious choice, I guess.
The Foo Fighters were on the first X-Files record, so they came back and did a song quite unlike the first one. And it's actually, I think it's a real change of pace for them anyway. It's a delicate little song, and I like it because it represents for me the Mulder and Scully relationship.
Having this sci-fi thing in common, where the name of the band Foo Fighters is a slang term for UFOs, and when there was talk of the movie and the soundtrack for the movie, we just ended up getting back together again and giving a track.
Everybody's got their own take on it, and it really is, for me, something special.
I had no idea that Chris was even really actively involved in choosing bands or asking for certain bands, so it's actually kind of flattering.
Yeah, we're big fans, so
Yeah.
it was kind of a cool thing that it happened the way it did, and we were really honored.
When we found out that this, a big motion picture coming out, and Chris liked the song, it was exciting.
I think that's the fun part, is seeing what inspired each individual artist as they did a song that was an homage to Mulder and Scully.
Now, we have the premiere performance of one of the tracks on the X-Files album. From London, here is Sting with the band Oswald as they perform a new rendition of the Police classic, Invisible Sun.
The X-Files movie special will continue in a moment.
So what can you expect when you see the X-Files on the big screen? Some questions answered, some new questions posed, or perhaps a chance to experience the thrill that millions tune in for each week, multiplied by X.
For the regular X-Files audience, they'll be able to see what they know and they love and they trust and have a really good and exciting time.
We're finally going to give the fans the answer they've been waiting for, and we're going to give the non-fans the coolest story of the summer.
Scully.
Scully, I found the bomb.
I think it will stand apart. I don't think it's trying to be like anything else. It's trying to be like what we've been the last 5 years, but on a scale that people have never seen before.
It's a movie. It's got to look good on a big screen. You got to feel good about paying your $8.
The impossible scenario that we never planned for? Well, we better come up with a plan.
Just got some great special effects, but like the series, the special effects are not the reason to go, or not the reason for the picture. They are in service to, I think, a really good story.
Thank you for joining me for the X-Files movie special. Soon, the truth will be revealed in a movie theater near you. I'm Martin Landau. Good night.